Subscribe now and stay with me, because today we are diving into a piece of history that has traveled through time, survived decades of change, and still carries a story powerful enough to capture the imagination of any collector. Before we begin, tap that subscribe button so you never miss another journey into the world of rare and extraordinary coins. Imagine holding in your hand a small, copper coin from 1954, stamped with the proud identity of a nation finding its place in the modern world. A coin that once passed through the pockets of workers, travelers, shopkeepers, and soldiers. A coin that might have rested in an old tin box, tucked away in a drawer, forgotten for years until someone lifted the lid and rediscovered its quiet beauty. This is the South Africa half-penny of 1954. It may be tiny, but its story is bigger than many people realize. Picture this coin being minted in the Johannesburg Mint during a time when South Africa was shifting politically, culturally, and economically. Every piece that rolled off those machines represented the daily rhythm of life in the mid-20th century. The metal warmed by the machines, the clang of production echoing through the mint, and the anticipation that each coin would soon begin its journey through the hands of the public. When you hold one today, you are connecting with that very moment. You're not just touching metal, you're touching history. That collectors aged 55 and up often appreciate things that younger generations overlook. You grew up in a world where craftsmanship mattered, where objects were made to last, where a coin wasn't just currency but a companion. Maybe you remember similar small copper coins in your pocket as a boy. Maybe you remember the weight of change jingling as you walked to the store. Maybe you remember the value of a half-penny when every cent counted. This South African piece taps into that memory, that feeling of a simpler time when physical money was part of daily life rather than pixels on a screen. The half-penny of 1954 features a design familiar to collectors of Commonwealth influence coins. On one side, the portrait of the monarch, created with meticulous engraving techniques that allowed tiny details to show the character of the face. On the other side, the iconic sailing ship that symbolizes exploration and resilience. These symbols weren't chosen at random. They told a story of heritage, of connection to a global empire, and of South Africa's own maritime legacy. When you look closely at the ship, every line of the mast and every curve of the hull reflects intentional artistry. It wasn't just stamped, it was sculpted, and that is why collectors around the world still search for well-preserved examples of this coin. The copper tones can deepen into dark chocolate brown or mellow into a warm red sheen, depending on how the coin aged. Some pieces show smooth wear from years of circulation, while others remain crisp and sharp, preserved by chance in an envelope, a safe, or a forgotten album. Each one, whether worn or pristine, tells a slightly different story. That is the beauty of numismatics. Every coin has a personality shaped by time, but the true intrigue comes from rarity. While millions of half-pennies were produced, only a very small number of high-grade survivors remain today. Most spent years being handled, rubbed, scraped, and exchanged. Finding one that still holds its original detail is like discovering a preserved artifact in the sands of time. And even among those better conditioned pieces, the market has shifted dramatically over the years. Older collectors appreciate the history, and younger collectors, though fewer, are beginning to rediscover the charm of mid-century copper coins. All of that pushes interest upward. Now imagine finding a half-penny from 1954 in mint state condition. No fingerprints, no scratches, no dulling of the luster. Something that looks almost as if it rolled off the press yesterday. That is the type of piece that steals the spotlight in auctions. That is the type of coin that sparks passionate bidding wars from experts who understand just how rare such perfection is. Coins like this become trophies, symbols of knowledge and dedication, centerpieces of collections that have taken decades to build. And for those of you watching who enjoy the thrill of possibility, the very idea of owning a piece like that brings excitement. You might feel the weight of it in your imagination. You might picture placing it in a display case, knowing that few people on Earth own such a flawless example. And that feeling, that moment of pride, is one of the reasons collectors love this hobby. It isn't just about value. It's about legacy, history, preservation, and passion. But of course, value is part of the story. People always ask, what is the worth of such a coin today? What would someone pay if a once-in-a-lifetime specimen came onto the market? And that question brings us to the climax of this video. Because in the world of rare coins, extraordinary condition can create extraordinary value. And while common examples sell for modest amounts, the hypothetical perfect and ultra-rare specimen of the 1954 South Africa halfpenny, preserved in flawless condition, authenticated and unmatched, could attract a staggering value. A value that goes far beyond ordinary collecting and steps into the realm of legend.